ॐ स्थापकाय च धर्मस्य सर्वधर्मस्वरूपिणे अवतारवरिष्ठाय रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. Namaskar to all of you. We shall begin with the chanting of the Bhagavad Gita meditation verses Parthaya Pratibodhitam. Since we have repeated these verses many times, I'll go on chanting up to the 6th verse. I had completed up to the 6th verse. You can join chanting this verse with me. When we come to the 6th or 7th verse, I will be chanting it and you can repeat it after me. Now you can join me in the chanting. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Gratitam Puradamunina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Amba Tvam Anusandadhami Bhagavad Gite Bhavadveshinim. Namostute Vyasa Vishala Buddhe Pullara Vindayata Patranetra Yena Tvaya Bharata Taila Purnaha Prajvalito Gnanamaya Pradipaha Prapanna Parijataya Totra Vetraikapanaye Gnanamudraya Krishnaya Gitamritaduhe Namaha. Sarvopanishado gavo Dogdha Gopalanandanaha Partho Vatsasudhi Bhokta Dugdham Gitamritam Mahat Vasudevasutam Devam Kamsachadoramaradhanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadgurum. Bhishmadrona Tata Jayadratajala Gandharanilotpala Shalyagrahavati Kripena Vahani Karnena Velakula Ashvat विकर्णघोरमकरा दुर्योधनावर्तिनी सोत्तीर्णा खलु पाण्डवैरणनदी कैवर्तकः केशवः. Now this 7th verse I'm going to chant. I think you have not heard about this. So after I chant it, you can hear it and then repeat it after me. Parasharyavachah sarojamamalam Parasharyavachah sarojamamalam Gītārtha-gandhotkhatam Gītārtha-gandhotkhatam Nānākhyānaka-kesaram harikatha Nānākhyānaka-kesaram harikatha Sambodhanabhoditam Sambodhanabhoditam Loke sajjana षट्पदैरहरहः Loke sajjana षट्पदैरहरहः पेपीयमानं मुदा पेपीयमानं मुदा भूयात् भारतपङ्कजं कलिमला भूयात् भारतपङ्कजं कलिमला प्रध्वंसि न श्रेयसे प्रध्वंसि न श्रेयसे. The simple meaning of this 7th verse is, may the taintless lotus of Mahabharata, growing on the waters of the words of Parashara's son, that is Vyasa Maharshi, having the Gita as its strong, sweet fragrance, with many narratives as its stamens, fully opened by the discourses on Lord Hari, the Supreme Divinity, and drunk joyously day after day by the bees of the good and the pure in the world, be productive of the supreme good to him or her who is eager to destroy the taint of Kali Yuga, the evil age or the iron age. So we have learned to chant this 7th verse and also the simple meaning. Now we shall come to the chapter, first chapter. Last time we had chanted the 5th verse and we have learned the meaning of that too. Now we will continue that now. The 4th verse which we studied of the first chapter was Trashura Maheshwasa Bhimarjuna Samayuthi Yuyudhano Viratascha Drupadascha Maharataha. That is the verse. Atrashura Maheshwasa Bhimarjuna Samayuti Yuyudhano Viratascha Drupadascha Maharataha. Here our heroes, tells Duryodhana to his Guru Dronacharya. Here are heroes, mighty archers, equal in battle to Bhima and Arjuna. Who are they? On the Pandava's side, Yuyudhana, Virata, and the Maharata, great chariot warrior, Drupada. Duryodhana enumerates the name of several outstanding figures in the Pandava army. He refers to them as heroes and mighty archers who are equal in martial glory to Bhima and Arjuna, the two great Pandava princes, acclaimed as the greatest warriors of the time. And great they were. However, here Duryodhana's fear and anguish has magnified their greatness to a point of instilling in him a belief in impending disaster. Now, some of the names were enumerated there. So let us see the profile of each of the Pandava warriors mentioned by Duryodhana. What are they? Yuyudhana. Who is this Yuyudhana? He is a Yadava chief. You know that Krishna was born in the Yadava clan. So Yuyudhana is a Yadava chief, also known by the name of Satyaki, a friend of Krishna. He learned archery from Arjuna, a powerful warrior and an Athirata who could fight with number of warriors single-handedly. Then what is the other name mentioned here by Duryodhana? Virata, the virtuous king of Matsya. There was a kingdom called Matsya. The Pandavas with their wife Draupadi, they lived incognito, Agnatavasa, for 1 year. Where did they live? In the palace of this Virata. So now, nobody could identify they were Pandavas. Bhima took the position of a cook. Then Arjuna took the form of a dancer, a lady, Brahannala. So Dhritarashtra, Yudhishthira, the elder brother, was doing some other work. Even Draupadi took the role of a maid serving the king and other people there. So Nakula Sahadeva were looking after the horses and other works were being done. They were incognito there. Afterwards, when they came to know they were the Pandavas, what happened? The Virata king gave his daughter Uttara. They married her to Arjuna's son Abhimanyu. Virata and his 3 sons, they participated in the war on the side of Pandavas. Then who is the other name enumerated here? Drupada, the king of the Panchalas. I think I have told about this Drupada in detail. He was the father of Draupadi, whom the Pandavas married, that is Draupadi. And another name is Drishtadyumna, a great Kshatriya hero and a Maharatha, one who could command 10,000 bowmen. So these are the people who have been mentioned by Duryodhana as great warriors on the side of the Pandavas. Then he goes on further to tell some more warriors. That is the 5th verse of the Bhagavad Gita, 1st chapter. What is that 5th verse? Drishtaketuschekitanaha Kashirajascha Viryavan. Drishtaketuschekitanaha Kashirajascha Viryavan. Purujit Kunti Bhojascha Shaibhyascha Narapungavaha. Shaibhyascha Narapungavaha. So, what is the simple meaning of this 5th verse? Drishtaketu, Chekitana, and the valiant king of Kashi, Purujit, Kunti Bhoja, and Shaibhya, the best of the men, are on the side of Pandava. Duryodhana is telling his Guru Acharya Drona. So, who are they? Duryodhana continues his enumeration of the illustrious warriors of the Pandava camp. He calls them the best of men. They are Drishtaketu, Chekitana, king of Kashi, Purujit, Kunti Bhoja, and Shaibya. Let us see who are they. Get some introduction, biodata of these people. Drishtaketu, who is he? Is the son of Shishupala, king of Chedi. Now, you might be knowing Shishupala was the close relative of Lord Krishna. Krishna killed him. He had given promise to his mother that he will forgive his 100 mistakes. After that, I'm not going to forgive. He committed mistakes after mistakes, mistakes after mistake. After the 100 mistake as promised, after that only Krishna killed him. His son was made. Krishna was so great that he was a kingmaker. He would never, after killing the bad people, he would never usurp the kingdom. He would always give it to the right people. Here, the Shishupala's son, Drishtaketu, was made the king. Now, he has also come to fight on the side of Pandava. Then the other name of the warrior is Chekitana. Who is he, Chekitana? A Yadava hero of Vrishni clan. He was also a Maharata of good prowess. He commanded one of the 7 Akshohini battalion of Pandava army. Then comes the king of Kashi. All of you will be knowing about Kashi, Vishwanatha or Kashi, Varanasi. Always in India at that time, nobody would be ruling Kashi. Kashi belongs to Lord Shiva. So always there would be a separate king for Kashi. So now this king of Kashi is also fighting on the side of Pandavas, is also a great warrior. Then Purujit and Kunti Bhoja. This name Kunti is very similar, Kunti Bhoja. So who is the Purujit and Kunti Bhoja? They are brothers of Kunti. Who is Kunti? Kunti is the mother of Pandavas. So these Purujit and Kunti Bhoja, they are also great warriors. They are brothers of Kunti. So now they are also fighting on the side of Pandavas. Now the last name given here is Shaibya. Who is this Shaibya? He was the king of Shibi. And who is he? Why is he fighting on the side of Pandavas? This person and the father of Yudhishthira's wife. He was now, though one Draupadi was married to all the 5 Pandavas, you know the story. Let me not go to the details of that story. But separately, the 5 Pandavas had their own wives. So who is the wife of Yudhishthira, the eldest king? Daughter of this Shibi. Her name was Devika. So the father-in-law of Yudhishthira is also fighting on the side of Pandavas. So now you came to know the simple meaning of this verse. Now the next verse is the 6th verse. What is happening here in the 6th verse? Duryodhana, what is he telling his Acharya? Yudhamanyuscha Vikranta Uttamaujascha Viryavan Saubhadro Draupateyascha Sarva Eva Maharataha. And mighty Yudhamanyu and brave Uttamauja, Saubhadra and Draupadeyaha, all indeed, they are all great chariot warriors, Maharataha. They are all fighting on the side of Pandavas. Duryodhana completes the list of Pandava heroes with the names of Yudhamanyu, Uttamauja, Saubhadra and Draupadeyaha. Duryodhana refers to all of them as Maharataha. I told you last time, those who can defeat well-trained 10,000 soldiers, well-trained 10,000 soldiers are called Maharataha. So all these people are Maharathas. They are all fighting on the side of Pandavas. So Duryodhana He's telling Drona, all these people are now fighting on the side of Pandavas. He completes the list of the Pandava heroes, Yudhamanyu, Uttamauja, Saubhadra, Draupadiyaha, and he refers to all of them as Maharataha, commanders of 10,000 archers. Who is this Yudhamanyu, Uttamauja? They are brothers, princes of the Panchala territory. They were brave warriors, possessing immense strength, hence the attribute mighty and valiant. What is the term used? Vikranta. Vikranta means mighty, valorous, lot of valor. In India, there is one tire industry. They make tires for the vehicles. What is the name of the tire? Vikranta means very strong. So valiant, mighty, appended to their names. Now, who are these? Saubhadra. Who is, how do you get some familiarity with this name Saubhadra? It comes from Subhadra. Who was Subhadra? She is the sister of Lord Krishna. Other siblings of Krishna, Subhadra is the sister, and another brother, Balarama. You know, yeah, now I think Snana Yatra is fast approaching in Puri Jagannatha. When the Ratha Yatra in Puri Jagannatha is done, in the chariot, there will be three images. What are they? Jagannatha, that is Lord Krishna. Another image is Balarama, elder brother of Krishna. And another image is Subhadra, the sister. Now that Snana Yatra is fast approaching. I think it is on the Purnima. Next Purnima, they'll be celebrating the Snana Yatra in Puri Jagannatha. Now, why is this Saubhadra? The son of Subhadra is called Saubhadra. So now, who is this Saubhadra, son of Subhadra? She is the sister of Krishna. Saubhadra or Subhadra was married to Arjuna. Their son was very illustrious Abhimanyu. Now this Abhimanyu, as I told you earlier, married Uttara, the daughter of Virata, king of Matsyas. Then who was their son? Abhimanyu and Uttara is none other than Parikshit, was the only lone survivor of Pandavas after this war, who continued to rule that kingdom after the Pandavas. And also Krishna gave up his body after the incarnation. It was Parikshit who continued. So now Saubhadra means Subhadra's son, Abhimanyu. He's a very great warrior. You know, another speciality of this Saubhadra or Abhimanyu, when he was a small baby in the womb of his mother Subhadra. Now, like telling story, Krishna was telling Subhadra how to penetrate one of the battle formation, the Chakra Vyuha. This boy was in the womb of his mother. He heard all these battle techniques from Lord Krishna himself, and he could remember that all through his life. Abhimanyu was such a great warrior. So, do you know, in India, when the training of the children starts, you think that children, we should start giving them training after 5 years or 6 years. But in India, training of the children starts in the womb of the mother. That's why in the Shodasha Samskara, the first Samskara is while in the womb of the mother. Where did Prahalada get the mantra of Narayana? When Prahalada was in the womb of his mother. He got the mantra Diksha from Narada Maharshi himself. So the training of the children not starts after 8 or 10 years. It is starting really in our Hindu culture in the womb of the mother. In India, even now we have noticed when the mother is carrying the baby, they will not give her bad news. She will be taken to the mother's house, her mother's house, so that she will feel very happy always. The thought of the mother will impact the baby. That's why she will be always kept happy. They will fulfill all her desires so that there will be no bad impact on the baby. So the training in our Hindu religion starts of the child from the womb of the mother. Now you can see this, whatever you talk, whatever the mother behaves, however the father behaves and talks, all that will train the child in the womb itself. So how careful the parent should be. So now this Abhimanyu is called Saubhadra, the son of Subhadra and Arjuna, and he got the training of only penetrating the chakra vyuha, the battle formation. But Subhadra started going to sleep. She got bored of hearing that battle formation because she is a woman. She will not go to the battle. Then yet earlier, see, suppose we are telling some story to make the other person who is talking to enthuse him, we go on telling, suppose you hear a story. Subhadra was telling when Krishna was repeating, closing his eyes and telling how to penetrate the chakra vyuha. He was telling, Subhadra. Then suddenly he opens his eyes and still sees the sound is continuing. But Subhadra is sleeping. Who is telling that? It was Abhimanyu. Then he suddenly stopped. So Abhimanyu could penetrate, but he didn't know how to come out of the chakra vyuha. That's why you should know. He was skilled, he couldn't come out of it, Abhimanyu. So he was a very great warrior. If you read Mahabharata, you can get all these stories. So let me not go to the Mahabharata now. I'll only give a little inkling of it so that if you like it, you can go and read the Mahabharata. You will get all the details of this. So that is Subhadra is Abhimanyu. Abhimanyu was trained in the archery by his father Arjuna and by another great archer, Pradyumna. Have you heard of this name, Pradyumna? Anybody knows who is Pradyumna? Pradyumna was the eldest son of Lord Krishna. So you are all great devotees of Lord Krishna. You do not know who is the eldest son of Krishna is Pradyumna. So Pradyumna is the eldest son of Krishna. He was a warrior of outstanding merit. In the Mahabharata war, he exhibited his exceptional military prowess by killing innumerable enemy warriors, Abhimanyu. So now that is Abhimanyu, and you got something to know about Pradyumna. Now there is another word called Draupadeyaha. Through the 5 husbands, the Pandavas, Draupadi had 5 children. So they are called Draupadeyaha. They were also great warriors. So who was the child or son of Dhritarashtra or the Dharmaraja, the eldest? And Draupadi, the name of that son was, Yudhishthira was Prativindhya. Then Draupadi had a child through Bhimasena, Bhima. What was the name of this son? Shrutasoma. Then Draupadi had a son from Arjuna. What is the name of that? Shrutakama, Shrutakarma. Then from Nakula, Shatanika. Then from Sahadeva, Shrutasena. So I think none of you knew the names of the 5 Pandavas, children with Draupadi. You knew only few of them. You know, all of you will know Pandavas now. The Draupadi's 5 children, Prativindhya, Shrutasoma, Shrutakarma, Shataneka, Shrutasena. They were the 5 children. You may be wondering how this happened. You know the story. What is that? Draupadi, how could she marry 5 Pandavas being one lady? All that you have heard. When Swami Vivekananda was going as an itinerant monk, when he went to the border of India and Tibet, so there, this practice of 4 or 5 brothers marrying one woman was still there. How did it happen? You know, the percentage of always in the birth, the doctors will know better, because women have this XX chromosomes, then the male XY. So now the possibility of XX combination is always, so the number of female will be always more. But in some countries or in some places, the percentage of girls or women will be more. But in some place, majority it will be more. But in some places it will be less. Very less percentage of birth of girls or women. There in such countries, because there are no girls there for them to marry, so 4 or 5 brothers have to marry one girl. So that practice was there even now. When Vivekananda went to those places, he could see that 2 or 3 or 4 brothers marrying only one girl, because the number of girls' birth was less in that area. So if you study that, then you will come to know what was the scientific reason at that time. So now let us not go to that. Now we have finished the 6th verse. Now we will come to the very important discussion which I had taken you to in the last class. What was that? We were studying about the samsara. The first chapter gives us something special. The first purpose of the first chapter of the Bhagavad Gita is presenting basic human problems. That's why there is everywhere battle formation, war, the great warriors everywhere. Why? Vyasacharya wants to show us about the problems of this world. So I took you through that in the last class, telling that this world, this samsara, this life of ours has 3 diseases. It's a combination of 3 diseases. And I also gave the term syndrome. So do you remember what are the 3 diseases? Anybody? Do you remember? The first one is, the first disease and important disease which is troubling all of us in this world is attachment, raga. Then second one is shoka, sorrow. Third one is moha, delusion. So we will come to shoka and delusion. I came in the last class up to that shoka, the problems of this world. Now we were seeing to this attachment or raga. We saw we should not get confused with attachment and love. Many times we get confused and mix up with attachment and love. And so I took you through so many differences between attachment and love. So taking up that, bringing back to your memory about the differences, then we will continue further. What are they? The raga or Vedantic attachment is emotional dependence, psychological addiction to people or things. See, now you are dependent upon your mobile phone. Without your mobile phone, you cannot stay at all. You are attached to it, psychological dependence. Now, the mother and father, when they grow old, they get attached to their children, psychological dependence. The husband on the wife and wife on the husband, psychological dependence. So they're all called attachment. But we confuse that for love. So we are seeing the difference. So what is attachment? It is the psychological dependence on people or things. Now, let us see the first difference between attachment and love. Attachment is very much criticized in Bhagavad Gita, whereas love is something very much glorified in Bhagavad Gita. Then the second difference, while attachment is presented as a trait of this world, samsara, love is presented as a trait and characteristic of a liberated, saintly person. Attachment of a worldly person. And now, what is the next difference? Now, Vedanta is for all true love, but it is against attachment. Then what is the important other difference? It is attachment is based on selfishness. Then what about love? Selflessness, unselfishness. Then what is the other important difference? The fourth difference. Now the fourth difference between this attachment and love is attachment is always in the form of taking. Love is always in the form of giving. Understand that. Let me take you through one incident in the life of Holy Mother. I don't know whether you know that or not. Holy Mother was living in Jairambati. Nearby, there is a center, sub-center of the Jairambati center. What was that? Koyalpara. There is one small ashrama. There was one free dispensary clinic where they used to distribute free medicines to the poor patients. The Swami there used to collect the money from the different sources, donations, and used to collect a lot of medicines and other things, bring the doctor and serve the poor patients there in that area. He found one rich landlord used to come to this dispensary and take the medicines from there. He was very rich. He had a lot of money. He was a landlord. Now this Swami got upset. How is this person? This is a dispensary for the poor people, and this rich person, landlord, is taking medicine. I have to go and scold him nicely and stop him. But somehow he felt, let me not stop him. I shall go to Holy Mother and ask her for guidance. So he went to Holy Mother. Mother, this person, rich landlord, is always coming and taking medicines from the free dispensary. We go beg money from people, and then with great difficulty we get all the medicines and other things. We bring doctors with great difficulty and give the poor people the service. But this rich man is taking away their facility. Should I continue to give the medicine to him, or shall I stop giving medicines to him? And Holy Mother thought for a while and told, my dear child, don't stop. Give him the medicines. Then he was shocked. He told, Mother, how can he take the poor man's medicine? Is it not fault? He's a rich man. Then Holy Mother told, my dear child, what do you mean by a rich man and poor man? Who is a rich man? Who is a poor man? Then the Swami couldn't answer. Then Mother told, whoever gives always, opening his hand to others like this is always rich. He may be poor in wealth, he may be poor in money, he may be poor in many things, but whoever gives always is a rich man. Whoever, he may be a richest person, he might be having all the things, but who always wants, he stretches his hands, always wants. He's a poor man. See what a wonderful explanation of who is rich and who is poor. Can you believe? Holy Mother gave this wonderful explanation. So, what is the difference between attachment and love? Attachment is always taking. What shall I do? Love is always giving, sacrifice. So that's the very important difference. And I got a Wonderful. See, many times when we tell these figure of speeches, these things, it's very difficult to understand until we connect it to our life. So if we give an example, then you will understand it better. I recently got a beautiful example. What is that? Who is poor is the caption. A wealthy woman goes to a sari store, cloth store in India, that's why sari, and tells the boy at the counter, Bhaiya, brother, show some cheap saris. Cheap saris. Why? He asks, you're a rich lady. Why do you want cheap saris? No, it is my son's marriage. Then if it is your son's marriage, you should take costly saris. Why cheap saris? I want to give it to my maid. The maid who comes to work there, why should I give her rich saris? So cheap saris enough. Then after she goes, or while she went to other place to search for the cheap saris, the maid of this rich woman comes to the same shop. And now she asks, the maid, the poor maid, comes to the same shop and asks the same boy. After some time, this maid comes to the sari shop and tells the boy of the counter, Bhaiya, my dear brother, show some expensive saris. The poor maid is telling, show me some expensive saris. I want to gift my mistress, the owner of my house where I'm working, because it is her son's marriage. So who is poor? The rich lady or the maid? So poverty is in the mind. So now you could see the difference between attachment. This rich lady is poor because she is attached to her money. This poor maid is rich because she has a true love. Now, another example which happened, I will tell you. Who is rich, who is poor? Once a lady with a family was staying in a 5-star hotel. She had gone for a picnic. She was the mother of a 6-month-old baby. She went to the manager of the restaurant or the hotel there. Can I get a cup of milk for my baby? It is too small. Asked the lady to the 5-star hotel manager. Yes, madam, you can get, I can give you the milk, but you have to pay for it. It will cost you money. No problem. I can pay, said the lady. But while driving back home from the hotel, the child was hungry again. They stopped at the roadside inn. In India, on the streets, there'll be dhaba or something like that, roadside tea stall. And she wanted to get milk from the tea vendor, poor tea vendor, who will be old man was there as a tea vendor. She thought he will also charge. How much money? I want to get milk for my baby. She asked the tea vendor, Madam, we do not charge money for the small children. You can take it free of cost. Not only that, he told, you may require some more milk on the way. I will give you extra milk, but I will not charge you. Please take it. Who is rich? The 5-star hotel manager or this poor tea vendor? So now you can know the difference between attachment and love clearly with some examples. Okay, what is the other important difference now? The fifth difference between attachment and love is attachment is always conditional. I will always think if I'm attached, what am I going to be benefited by that relationship? As long as you are comfortable, you'll have that relationship. Otherwise, you'll break it. Now, what is the difference between love? Love is always unconditional. It's unconditional. Then what is the sixth difference? Attachment invariably comes from a weak mind which is empty, which is not happy within itself. And therefore, it depends upon external factors for satisfaction, happiness, fulfillment, etc. Therefore, attachment is born out of weakness. Whereas love is not born out of weakness, but it comes out of strength, fullness of the mind. Now, the eighth difference is attachment. In attachment, seventh one is the intellect is clouded. Therefore, attachment will lead to violation of righteousness, dharma. Attachment will lead to violation of dharma, whereas love, his person's intellect will be sane and clear. There will be no cobwebs in the mind. Therefore, it will never lead to violation of dharma. Now, the eighth difference is love. Attachment is a sign of bondage. Love is a sign of freedom. So that's why attachment is presented in the Bhagavad Gita, the first chapter, as the basic, first important disease of this world, samsara. Then what is the second disease? The second disease, which is the expression of this world or samsara, is born out of this attachment. What is that which is born out of this? The child of this attachment or raga is shoka. What is meant by shoka? Sorrow. The chapter name, first chapter name itself is Sorrow of Arjuna. Arjuna Vishada Yoga. So the child of attachment, what is the outcome of attachment is sorrow. How? Can you explain? Now, attachment will invariably lead to sorrow because you have been emotionally depending upon external factors. When the dependence goes away, very natural, definitely you are going to fall like a person who walks with a walking stick is going to heavily lean upon the walking stick or the crutch. The moment the crutch or the walking stick is gone, that person will fall down. Whereas, imagine another person. Now you see the person who plays the drums and band set in front of the leading that procession. There'll be one person who will be having a stick wand. Will be turning it, throwing it, and you're taking the wand like this and playing. He too carries a stick, but he is not dependent upon that. And some people also will have a walking stick as if it's a show and golden, this thing they want to show off. So they are not dependent upon that walking stick. They use it for show. So like that, in this world, you should live in the world. You should have all the relationship, father, mother, brother, sister, wife, husband, children, but you should not lean upon them, be dependent upon them. You should not have attachment to them. Live amongst the family. Have all the people, samsara, but don't have attachment. The moment they go away or they will not satisfy your requirements, then you will have sorrow. That's why you get sorrow. Moment the walking stick or the crutch is gone, you will fall down. But whereas imagine another person who goes with a baton, a stick without leaning on that, we can see early in the morning several people walking with the stick. Why? To chase away the dogs or monkeys. But they will not use it as a dependency. They will use it for some other purpose. They do not lean on that. Likewise, live in the family, have all the relationship, but don't lean or depend on that. So the crutch, when the moment the crutch is gone, I'm flat. But if you're holding it, nothing is lost. Similarly, attachment is a psychological crutch which will make me psychologically broken, frustrated, disappointed when the dependency is gone. In fact, you will feel shocked when the object of dependency goes away from you. And unfortunately, whatever object or whatever people you depend upon psychologically or emotionally is impermanent. Whatever for that sake. But the people or things you depend upon is always impermanent. So, whatever object or people you depend upon psychologically or emotionally is impermanent in nature, whether it's a position, whether it is people, whether it is property, whether it is even your position, let alone all those things, even your physical body. You were a child, you had youthfulness gone, slipping away from your hand. And so you will be sorrowful. The moment you get a gray hair, you'll be sorrowful. So, attachment. See, everything will be cause of sorrow. So, everything will vanish, whether it is people, whether it is property, whether it is position, whether it is a physical body. Whatever I am attached to is always impermanent. Whatever I am psychologically leaning upon is impermanent. That means any time in future or even now, I'm going to lose that, making me or leaving me high and dry. And therefore, Vedanta and Bhagavad Gita asks the question, what preparation have you done to face this potential threat? Should you not make any preparation for the future? Will you go on suffering? Because every human being have to face this. Suppose everyone will become old. So won't you make preparation from the beginning? When you join the job itself, you will save your money, keep it in the bank, insurance, that and this, buying property, gold, that and this. You'll be saving for the old age. Have you done any preparation for this psychological, emotional disaster you have to face? All the thing and people will go away. Will you start making preparation when you go to the old age home or nursing home? Or will you start preparing now? Bhagavad Gita prepares you now for all these problems. Bhagavad Gita, if you study it properly, will prepare you, make you strong from now itself. That's why you have to study Vedanta and Bhagavad Gita. What preparation have you done to face this potential threat? Because every human being has to face. All of us are preparing for our old age, because we are not going to earn until we retire. And we know that the income source is going to go away after retirement. And therefore, we are all preparing for old age by saving, by insurance, by mediclaim, all physical security. So many things we are preparing. But what are we making preparation for our psychological and emotional leaning? No, zero. For the consequent future loss, what preparations are we making? As long as we do not prepare, our future is in danger. Psychologically or emotionally, you are in danger. This pain, this psychological fall, this emotional depression a person faces because of the loss of the object of attachment or person or people is called shoka, sorrow. Attachment leads to sorrow. So the preparation has to be early. For old age, when do you prepare? Is it in the old age? From now, when you are young itself, provident fund, that fund, this fund, all you make in your young age, not after you become old. Suppose you see, go around your building or some other institution, everywhere you'll see some pipes will be there with red color. What is that? For firefighting. And there will be cylinders with that chemicals for the putting off the fire. If there is a fire disaster, suppose, are we called intelligent? Suppose the fire will be there to the house or to some other things. Then I take a spade and this thing digging borewell or borehole or a well. Why? Because the fire has come. I want water. So I will start digging the borehole now because the fire has started. Will you be doing that? No, you make preparation beforehand. So what are you doing now? The same thing for your psychological loss, for your depression and other things in the old age, for your dependence of this shoka and raga. Are you doing any preparation? You will think, oh, let me think of it in my old age. No, it will not happen. Bhagavad Gita prepares you for that. The preparation has to be early. People think, why do you read Bhagavad Gita in this young age? After you get old and when you cannot see, your eyes are gone, when your ears are gone, you don't have the hearing, this thing, you have to use the hearing aid. Then you start reading Bhagavad Gita. How can you read Bhagavad Gita when you can't see? When you can't hear, how can you hear Bhagavad Gita? Just be young. When you are young, you have to make the preparation, not in the old age. When the object of attachment is lost, whenever pain will come, we can never solve that pain at that time, and therefore preparation has to be when things are around and comfortable. That is called far-sightedness. There was one famous person. He was called Bhartrhari. He was a great king. He was an emperor. After he saw so many things in his life when he was the emperor, he got disgusted with the life. Then earlier he had written Shringara Shataka. Shringara means all beautiful things of this world. Then in the end of his life, he wrote Vairagya Shataka, 100 verses on renunciation. So in that, he writes in the 75th Vairagya Shataka verse, Bhartrhari, as long as this body is free from disease and decapitude, as long as senility is far away, after 60, you'll start losing your senility. You can see the old people, given them food, they will complain, my son has not given me the food at all. They've taken away all the ornaments, they will complain to others, senility. So will you start preparation then afterwards? When you lose all your thinking capacity? No, he's telling Bhartrhari, as long as the powers of the senses are unaffected and life is not decaying, so long as wise persons should put forth mighty exertion for the sake of their supreme good. For when the house is on fire, what avails setting about digging well for water? So this psychological strengthening process, psychological insurance, mediclaim, everything should be when you are physically fit, healthy, psychologically fit, emotionally healthy, when the sense organs are intact, when the family members are reasonably cooperative, when what is called the business conditions are reasonably good, then when everything is fine, Atmash Shreyamsi Tavadeva Karyaha Prayanto Mahan. At that time, be far-sighted. If you try to solve a problem when the tragedy has struck, that is foolish approach. Therefore, be far-sighted, because every attachment is a potential sorrow. Therefore, what is the second disease? Attachment, born sorrow. First disease is raga, attachment. Second is shoka. Now, what is the next one? We told it is a syndrome. What is the third? The third disease, which the great Rishi Vyasacharya in the first chapter mentioned here, is delusion, moha. How did it come? It is a byproduct of attachment and sorrow. Attachment and consequent frustration or worry, the intellect does not function properly. Then you get deluded because of attachment, and sorrow creates delusion, moha. The intellect is wheeled. Intellect is clouded by the attachment and sorrow. When a clouded intellect takes decision, all those decisions will be wrong decision, and all the wrong decision will appear as right decision, and right decisions will appear as wrong. The inversion of these things, so this clouded perception is called moha. So you can connect everything to your life. You'll be wondering everything, you'll be laughing with it, because everything you can connect here. The whole life is full of these three things. Attachment leads to sorrow, and sorrow leads to confusion, delusion. And this inversion of things, so this clouded perception, which is called moha, what will lead to adharmic way of life, unrighteous way of life. Adharma will be seen as dharma. Unrighteousness will look as if it is righteous, which is called, this confusion is called moha. And it becomes a vicious circle. When I get clouded, once my intellect gets clouded, once my vision is clouded, then more attachments will follow, then more sorrow will follow, then more delusion will follow. So it's a vicious cycle. My actions will now be wrong. And because of that, situation will be worse. And again, because I will be worried, I will take wrong decisions like a chain reaction. The whole life will be a series of raga, attachment, shoka, sorrow, and moha, delusion. So it is a chain reaction. So in fact, a person never gets out of this dependence. Will be shuffling from one dependence to another and one sorrow to another. You know, rheumatism, people, doctors will be knowing, or the people who have got rheumatism will be knowing. I have seen sometimes the finger will get swollen due to rheumatism. Give the medicine and push it away, then it will go here. Push it away here, it will go here. Then push it away here, it will go somewhere to the waist. So shuffling from one place to another place, that's all, it will never go away. So even so many attachment like bad habits, you will get dependence upon. You know, olden days we used to see, nowadays we don't see snuff. They used to put snuff into the nose. So you tell them, give up this habit, tobacco, it's not good. Then they will give up. They can't. The attachment is too much. Then they will start smoking. Smoking is too much. Then they want to give up. They will take up to some other attachment like this. So you'll be shuffling. A person who has got into attachment never gets out of the dependence. You'll be shuffling the dependence from one object or person to other. Instead of working for freedom, you will be changing from one dependence to other. Like a person who gives up smoking takes to snuff. You have not solved the problem. We had one cook in the institution where I used to work in India. His name was Shivaram Aital. He was smoking. You know, in India, there is a thing called bidi. You don't get it here. Bidi, small one. Bidi with the leaf. They will do bidi smoking, this thing. So he was smoking a lot of bidi. Somehow we used to scold him and take away the bidi. And once he went to Kashi. You go to Kashi and other Varanasi or Vrindavan or some other places, you have to give up some bad habits. I told Swamiji, this time I will go to Kashi, Varanasi, and I will give up my smoking habit, this bidi. Okay, we were very happy. Then he went and came back. For 1 month, no smoking of bidi. And after some days, I saw him smoking cigarette. I caught hold of him. What is this? You told me give up to Kashi. No, I gave up only bidi. I didn't tell cigarette. So he started cigarette, no smoke. So like that, person will give up smoking, take up to some other habit. You have not solved the problem. You have only changed the disease from one disease to another. This cycle of shuffling the disease is going from suffering to suffering in human problems, which is known as, this is called samsara. This world is like that. And presenting this samsara, this world of sorrow, delusion, and attachment, is the purpose of first chapter. So now you know why this war, why this attachment, why this, all those things, why the first chapter in Bhagavad Gita. So they want to show how we have battling every day with all these things in our life. So that's why the disease is shown. What disease do you have? Then only you will start going to the doctor and taking the medicine. So what is the solution now? That is the second purpose of the first chapter. What is that? First purpose was to show you the problems of the life, the disease of the life, this life. The second purpose of this first chapter is it can happen only through the Guru Shishya Samvad. Arjuna, where did he take up all these problems and disease? To Krishna, Jagat Guru. So you can get it. If you have disease, you have to go to the doctor. You should not take self-medication. So if you have the psychological disease, you have to go to the realized soul, a saint or a guru. That's the second purpose. So the purpose of the first chapter and the purpose of this later 17th chapter is how to get out of this whole whirlpool of vicious cycle so that I'll become an independent person. Psychologically, emotionally, I'm an independent person. That independence is called moksha. What is moksha? What is liberation? Freedom. Once I had told you, given an example. One youth came to Swami Ramakrishna-Nandaji, direct disciple of Ramakrishna. So he told Swamiji, that youth told Ramakrishna, Swamiji, we don't want, we are youths, we don't want the do's and don'ts of your religion. Then Ramakrishna-Nandaji asked him, then my dear child, what do you want? We want freedom. Youths always will use these words, we want freedom. Then Swamiji asked him, my dear child, what kind of freedom do you want? He was confused. Then Ramakrishna asked him, my dear child, whether do you want freedom or the senses, or do you want freedom of the senses? Think about it. We all want freedom or the senses. Freedom for our senses. We want freedom for our senses to behave as we like, just like animals. It's called switchachara. But real freedom is freedom of the senses. You should control the senses and the mind, but the mind and senses are controlling you. Where is freedom? You can't think one thought you want for 2 seconds. The mind will drag, the senses will drag to some other thing. Where is your freedom? So what kind of freedom do you want? Freedom for the senses and the mind, or freedom of the senses? We are all slaves of our senses and we are all slaves of our mind. We should become the masters of our senses and mind. That is freedom. That is moksha. Moksha means not going to some heaven there and living happily and eating as you like. This psychological independence, emotional independence from the senses, from the mind, and you will control it and you will be the masters. That freedom is mukti, emancipation, liberation. So that is moksha, which we are aspiring for. So that is called moksha, freedom. That is the first purpose. I think we have completed that aspect. Almost our time is also complete. Now, next time, we have to connect it into our life, isn't it? We have come to know what is this samsara, what is our problems, and how to overcome is told in all the other 17 chapters by Lord Krishna. He gives the remedy. Krishna is the guru, the doctor. He will give the remedy for all these problems of samsara. But you are told so many qualities, raga, shoka, moha. But if we don't see that in our own life, connect it to somebody's life, then you will not understand what this attachment, what this liberation, what this psychological dependence is. All of you heard, I think, most of the Indians or even outside India, they will know Sudha Murthy. Anybody know Sudha Murthy? One of the founders of Infosys company. Narayan Murthy's wife, Sudha Murthy. She is one of the founders of Infosys, the great multinational company. And after she gave up that post, she's one of the partners there and she's doing a lot of philanthropic activity. She lives a very simple life. She's spending all her shares and monies in giving it to hospitals, schools, development of the women and girl everywhere, all over the country and outside also. She gives a lot of money in charity and does a lot of work. Now she gives an example here. Very simple lady, Sudha Murthy. She writes, when my daughter, Sudha Murthy, is telling when her daughter, the elder of my two, she wed and left home, I felt as if my part of my body was gone. With a daughter and a son, I know what they both mean differently. When she was in her teens, I felt as if she was my physical extension. So when she left home to set up her own, I felt as if I lost a limb. Do you know who is the daughter of Sudha Murthy? Anybody? The wife of Sunak Rishi, the Prime Minister of England. Present Prime Minister of England, Rishi Sunak's wife is the daughter of Sudha Murthy. Now she is telling when she went away, when she was as a daughter, she brought up the daughter. She was training her. She felt as if she was a part of her. When she went to make her own family, she's telling Sudha Murthy, I felt I lost a limb. Next time when she came to stay with us, I was astonished how her priorities had changed. So now Sudha Murthy is telling herself, you also, we too must have given the same shocks to our parents. When Sudha Murthy is telling, when my daughter told Amma or Ma, she's from South India, she's telling Amma, she meant her mother-in-law and not me. I felt so heartbroken when she was referring that Amma to her mother-in-law, not to me. All of you will feel this. All of you will see. So that's why I'm giving an example of what attachment is in the life. So I felt as if she was always in a hurry to go back to her home and her house, not to stay with me for a few more days. That was the first time Sudha Murthy is telling, it dawned on me that I have to start practicing detachment with attachment. 2 years after my daughter's marriage, my son left for higher studies to US, having experienced a child separation once. I was better equipped emotionally. I plunged headlong into various classes held in the city, starting from Vedanta, Bhagavad Gita, healing to Ikebana. I just wanted to be away from the home since my husband was a 24/7 workaholic. So now she started going to Vedanta and Bhagavad Gita to find solace. I will continue that in the next session. How she could come out of that problem of attachment. How Bhagavad Gita helped. So now you can connect it to your life. The disease of samsara, the attachment, with that the pain, and now because of that delusion. Might be if you are connecting it to your life and feeling that pain, isn't it? Now you can connect it to your life. Now you will understand what Bhagavad Gita is properly, how it's a solution to our life. Okay? Now we'll conclude with the prayer. But before that, if you have any questions on what we have discussed, you can ask. Any questions? How can we overcome that? Only through the grace of the Lord, Madhava. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim yatkripa tamaham vande paramananda madhavam. Mukam karoti vachalam Mukam karoti vachalam Pangum langhayate girim Panghum langhayate girim Yatkripatamaham vande Yatkripatamaham vande Paramanandamadhavam Paramanandamadhavam Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Shri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu